All right, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachakwadash. Double honors to the elder apostles, elder bishops, elders who rule very well, very beautifully. Double salutations to the Akim her pushing this gospel on truth and in sincerity to the best of their ability given to them by Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. Peace, blessings, and salutations be unto the elect scattered abroad. May the election of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Lord willing, fall upon all your houses. This is the brother Quana Watt from the Arizona Great Millstone Camp. Come back at you, Lord will, with edifying lesson through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Lord will. It is edifying, Lord will. It is straight to the point. Amen. These people, scriptures say that the love of many shall wax cold, man. And we're going to grab it when I want to get into this article real quick. It's on the Newsbreak app. It says the fat in her cheeks was non-existent. 7-year-old locked away in a closet with one corn dog a day has her siblings to blame, mom says. And this is that mom right here. As you see right here, it says Virginia Gonzalez. And we're going to get into it. It says a mother in Texas who is facing felony charges for allegedly keeping her 7-year-old daughter locked away in a dark closet with no access to food or a bathroom, right? Basically starving her own daughter, right? And this is a 7-year-old little girl, man. You know, this is a child, right? A defenseless child, and you see this woman basically lock this child up. You know, it says due to her always getting into stuff. You know, and children, that's what children do, right? Let's grab that real quick. You know, scriptures talk about foolishness is bound in the heart of a child. Right here, Proverbs 22:15, it says foolishness is bound in the heart of a child. Right? So children are going to get into different things, man. You know? But what it says right here, but the rod of correction shall drive it far from him. So, you know, ultimately, you know, you got to punish your child, man. You know, and that's what a lot of these people out here are lacking, right? They're not, disciplining their children, you know? And that's why these children are all jacked up. But see, in this case, right, the child was ultimately, doing something that, the mother didn't want them to do, always getting into stuff. And what did the mom do? Right? Ultimately, basically locked her child up, starved her, which is a cruel thing, especially, from a mother. It says, due to her always getting into stuff and bladder issues, right? A child, right, is going to have, you got to potty train them, And in some cases, a child will, continue to, go on themselves or go into bed or whatnot, That's something that, has to, ultimately be, weeded out of them over time. Kind of just continue to coach them, right? Continue to, teach them, right? But again, right? Love of many shall wax cold, man. These people are extremely aggressive and unstable, right? As we're going to get into it, right? It says, tried offering up her side of the story at a court hearing this week, insisting that she had adequate food for everyone in the home and was never violent, right? It says, I don't dispute that I was wrong, admitted Virginia Gonzalez, 33, on Tuesday in the 331st Criminal District Court, as the Travis County District Attorney's Office asked a judge to raise Gonzalez's bond from $750,000 to $250,000. It says right here, it says, I know what I've done wrong, Gonzalez said, while appearing to hurl the blame at her other kids for the alleged mistreatment, which it's her fault, right? Not the kids, right? It says, I instructed them not to let her out of the bedroom, but not the closet. She told the court, it says, we'd catch her in the restroom doing something bad. It was easier for my sons to watch her that way. Shit's crazy, man. Right? Basically starved out, her own daughter. It says right here, Gonzalez, who police say has another kid that's been missing since 2017. And who knows, right, what happened to that child, man? The way that she's been treating the 7-year-old, who knows, man? It says police say, it says is charged with causing serious bodily injury to a child after her daughter was found soiled and severely malnourished after spending several weeks inside the closet. Several weeks. It says the girl, who weighed just 29 pounds, was reportedly found by her grandmother at the mother's residence in Austin. Right? Come on, man. That's insane. But again, right? Let's grab it right here. I had it pulled up in Matthew 24, verse 12. It says, and because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. And we understand, as we read in 2nd Ezra, the 15th chapter, right, that wickedness has exceedingly polluted the whole earth. Exceedingly. Right? Meaning it hit a level and went way past that, right? Wickedness has exceedingly polluted the whole earth, man. And now we're seeing what? Now we're seeing that cold behavior from these people, right? And we go into that word cold on the blue letter. It says Strong's 55 94 says psycho, right? Psycho. It says of waning love, right? But when you go into the Google definition, right, psycho meaning, it says an unstable and aggressive person, right? Often offensive, right? It says exhibiting unstable and aggressive behavior. That's some aggressive behavior towards a 7-year-old, right? To lock her in a closet for weeks, right? To where, as you read in the the header of that article, it says it had the cheeks, the fat in her cheeks was non-existent, right? Giving her one corn dog a day, locking her in a closet. That's extremely unstable and aggressive behavior, man. And this is what we're seeing within these people, right? And those that are of the household of faith, man. We see this, man. We see how everybody is. You see these tensions, man. You driving on the road, and you just get over. You're not thinking anything of it, man. And people honking their horns and flipping you off, and this, that, and the third, man. Just because you got over into the lane, and there's adequate amount of space between you and that car, and the people still tripping. Especially here in Arizona, man. With this heat going up, right? You see that 110, 115-degree weather, right? You see that happening on a regular basis. But as the days go on, right, we see that it's getting worse, man. Right? Road rage, people getting killed, right? Road rage and whatnot. And this is why, right? For those that are of the household of faith, man, we got to walk in wisdom as much as possible, man. Right? Scriptures say to be wise as serpents, right, and harmless as doves, man. Because we're in these times where people are gonna be acting crazier and crazier, and you're gonna see more and more events like this. Hell, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, man. There was a lady that basically cooked her 2 children. Like, the husband came home, thinking that hey, his woman was making some dinner, right? Opened up the oven, and it was his 2 kids, man. And they were young kids, man, like 2 and 3 years old, right? And I don't remember exactly. They were young kids, right? And this is the type of behavior that we're starting to see increase right within these people. I want to grab this as well in Colossians, the 4th chapter, and verse 5, and I'll read it in the NLT, right? It says, "Live wisely among those who are not believers." White man, because these people are not moving right according to the scriptures, right? These people are moving right according to their flesh, according to these demons that are on them, right? And of course, these people are going to be acting any kind of way. And see, we have the scriptures, and we obviously need to be applying the scriptures right every day to the best of our ability, even more now. It says, "Live wisely among those who are not believers," and this is to myself first and foremost. I myself need to be walking in more wisdom, man. We need to apply the scriptures more, man. I'm not exempt. It says, "And make the most of every opportunity," right? So let your conversation be gracious and attractive, so that you will have the right response for everyone. That's right, man. But all in all, the point is, right, live wisely among those who are not believers, man. And these people out here, majority of these people out here are non-believers. So they're basically walking demons, man. And they're not gonna move in wisdom, right? So we have to, these are the times that we're in, man. It's only going to continue to get worse. You know, the days are growing more and more evil. You know, as the days go on. You know, let me grab this real quick, and then we'll close out. Just want to keep it quick, straight to the point. This is Second Esdras, chapter 14. What is that? 14. Right here, verse 16. It says, "For yet greater evils than those which thou hast seen happen shall be done hereafter." So the evils, right, are only going to continue to increase, man. You know, so we need to, again, right, continue to walk in the scriptures. You know, walk in the spirit as much as possible, as the scriptures say in Galatians. Right, I think it's the 5th chapter. It says, "Walk in the spirit, so that you will not fulfill the lust of the flesh." Right, stay in the spirit as much as possible. Right, constantly be reading. Right, doing a video helps you stay in the spirit. Right, for those that are out here teaching and preaching. Right, the true prophets, Yahweh Shem Shai. You know, doing a video helps you stay in the spirit, right? Reading helps you stay in the spirit, right? Being, around bros, right? Talking to bros helps you stay in the spirit. You know, these are all things that we need to be engaging, in more, right? As these days go on, so that way we're, again, right, not getting caught, in this, bullshit ass, society, man, you know? But that's all I got, man. I just wanted to bring that out, man. Continue to walk in wisdom, right? To the best of your ability as much as possible every single day, man. The shit's only going to continue to get worse, you know? But that's all I got, man. Little rules, edifying, little rules, straight to the point. Of all praise, Yahweh Shem Shai. Till next time, I say shalom.